Hello all, Knife's Tale here, bringing you a summary of a knife I have done a review on. This is the Civivi Incindie, and I will link the full review down below. And I just want to start this thing off. I'm not going to spend too much time on this thing. There is a lot of really good here, and there is one super, almost pretty much completely fatal thing. That is a really big hiccup, and a strange one that you don't even often see. As far as like knife goes, you look at the blade, you say, oh, that's not a very tall grind. It's hollow grind, it's super thin, it's got super thin blade stock. This is their 10CR Damascus. It also comes in, a mono steel. I think it's Nitro V, probably 14C Nitro V, something like that. It doesn't really matter. The base version is a budget version. This is, of course, not a budget version with this very nicely, partially polished cord Damascus. White G10, very nice. A little bit of milling on here. Functional jimping. Cool looking blade shape. Big fuller in there. You can't reverse flick off of it because it does fit in there completely. So it's just a flipper knife, but it is there. It does make... it is relevant to the cutting, but as I said, it's thin enough that it really doesn't impact it as much as you might think. Like, when I saw this thing, I thought, oh, that's cool, but it's not going to cut well. It does. It really does. It's quite nice. And as is true to most Civivi fashion, more often than not, they have a decently sharp knife out of the box, though I have used this a little bit, but it doesn't seem to have lost much edge. I didn't really use it much. White ivory G10, T8 construction all the way around, pocket clip that is just your standard Civivi pocket clip, but a little bit like of a smoky finish. Super comfortable on this knife. Super comfortable, actually, on this knife. Pocket clip is great. In my hands, I mean, that's of course subjective, but sometimes the pocket clip, I mean, you can almost always feel the deep carry pocket clips. This thing almost disappears. It really works. The handles, even though they're sort of hard angled, unlike Spyderco, I don't know what the difference is, honestly. It seems like the chamfer is... Like, Spyderco... My complaint about Spyderco tends to be that they're so flat and then they just abrupt angle. This thing has a similar abrupt angle, but it seems like it might take it, like, there's an extra chamfer right there, or a mini one or something. It just makes it more comfortable. It just makes it feel less blocky. Don't know why, but it does. Which is great. It's a button lock with milled weight reduction liners. There is a lanyard post there. It is your standard plunge lock button lock, but Civivi does pretty much some of the best button locks you're going to get. There's a tiny bit of button stick, but I like that on my budget button locks because it means usually they're engaged extra well. And the flipping action is wonderful. Like, this thing has amazing, amazing detent. And listen to the ting when it comes open. And then check out this detent on the close. That's amazing. That's fantastic. This has one of the best detents and some of the best feeling button lock action you could possibly get on a budget knife. It really is good. But there is a gigantic major flaw with this knife, and it's a knife that's a flaw that we've seen many, many a time now, and in fact, recently on the new Civivi knife. And that is the stop pin placement. Is right freaking behind the edge. And this knife, like, stop pin placement should never be an issue on flipper knives. Because flipper knives, normally, force the stop pin to be in a different place because the flipper, when it comes back, would hit where the stop pin lands, which prevents it from getting, up behind that edge. Where let's see, what flipper do I have here? Oh, another Civivi. Yeah. They can't put the stop pin here because the flipper would nail it. So they had to do it up there. They do have a stop up there, but they have a second stop for the closed position because they put it in just a position where the way they did the flipper just misses it. If they had just moved this up a little bit so it wasn't quite as deep below the knife, so you didn't have it quite as garaged in there, as you can kind of see it sort of garages pretty deep in there. If it was just up a little bit, and then they extended the front of this flipper tab forward a little, like right here on the flipper tab, forward a little bit so it contacted, they could have used that as the same stop for open and closed position and gotten rid of this completely, and there would be no issue whatsoever. This is totally fixable. But instead, we have 2 stop pins, and one of them causes the knife to stop right there. You have about that much life on this knife. That is not a lot. That is not a long-term use knife. You're not getting full life. You're not getting the full potential out of the hollow grind. Even if you rarely sharpen your knives, unless you have a lot like me, and but I have too many, I'm crazy. I'm a knife enthusiast and collector and blah, blah, blah. Unless you have a lot of knives and you're almost never sharpening some, and there are some in your collection where you can use them sparingly enough that you will very rarely, if ever, have to really sharpen them. You're just getting a couple sharpenings out of this thing. Maybe 4 before you run the risk of potentially just even hitting it on the stone. I mean, you can't touch that. Right there. That forward is what you got. That is not a lot of life. Especially if you lay back the angle on the first sharpening, I just don't do that. Just don't do it. So, as much as I really actually like this thing, this is a complete fail. I mean, this is almost at the edge termination. That is very close. That's the life you got out of this knife. That's the height. That's how much steel you can remove right there. It ain't a lot. So, if you don't mind just replacing your knife after you've sharpened it like 4 times or so, I guess it's still okay. It's still good. Everything here is doing good things. It's just a baffling miss on this one. And I mentioned in the full review, which, as I said, or did I say? I don't even know if I said it or not. Who knows? I'm really out of it today. So the full review will be linked down below. Blah, blah, blah. It misses the mark on what could be a really, really fun, kind of cool knife. That's just differently aesthetically, just not standard knife. Civivi offers all kinds of things. I just wish they were a little bit more... I wish all companies were a little bit more conscientious of certain things. Because... that is not a particularly large amount of life to remove from a blade. And it's close enough that it's really going to be tricky to try and cut in a stop pin in front of it. You can't... a stop pin. No. A blade choil. Sharpening choil is what I'm looking for. In front of it. You could probably do it. But you have to make sure you don't touch that. Right there. Because you're going to be in trouble. Now, the good news. The good news is that if you do touch it, while it's not... it's going to cause a problem, of course, for where the actual... The plunge may act as a stop itself. I don't know if this next secondary stop pin is that necessary. But you'd have to, you know, potentially kill the knife to find out. If this doesn't hold the knife well enough in position without that stop pin hitting there, say you have cut into it by accidentally, the knife's not going to sit in its closed position properly. And if it were just a matter of it going a little bit too far, that would be one thing. It shouldn't be able to go too far because of the button lock, but I don't know. You know what? I'm going to do a second video on this. I've never tried this. I'm going to do another video, and I'm going to take this thing apart and see if I can remove that stop pin and see what happens. So, yeah. I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching. Maybe you'll be interested in seeing that next video to see if this is even a problem. I'm going to confirm it. I just want to make sure that this is actually achieving something by being there. So, yeah, I'm going to end the summary here. That's all I really had to say about the knife anyway. Reversible clip, good. There's a lot of good here. But potential major issue. Let's see.